welcome back to Rock Solid Sports, the only sports show in Knoxville with a home field advantage. I'm Galanza, and I'm here with Forman and Tanner Carson. We are going to have our Week 3 preview where we will be talking about the Ohio and UT game taking place on Saturday, kickoff at noon on the SEC Network right here in Neyland behind us. So, gentlemen, what do you expect from this game?
Well, what I'm expecting, if all things go right for Tennessee, is a lot of orange fireworks in the daytime sky that you won't be able to see. We saw a lot of fireworks go off at Bristol Motor Speedway last week with Tennessee, Virginia Tech at the Battle of Bristol, but now it's time for Tennessee to put up some fireworks on the scoreboard. This is the game I've had pegged since the offseason for Tennessee's offense to really explode. If they're going to be the team that everyone thinks they can this season, this is the time Tennessee's offense needs to put up some points on the scoreboard and set off some fireworks in the end zones.
Well, what I'm expecting Saturday is for Tennessee to try to build off that explosive second quarter we saw in the Battle of Bristol. Like Sam mentioned, there was a lot of fireworks in that game, especially second quarter, 24-0 run. It was really the team that a lot of people thought Tennessee was going to be in the preseason. I expect Tennessee to start fast because they need to, because in the first two games of the season, starting fast has been a real problem for the team. And it's really it's caused them to have to dig themselves out some holes in the first two games. I think Ohio's a team they can show their full amount of talent against. Now, they don't need to come into this game expecting a cakewalk by any means because Ohio's just fresh off a win over Kansas, a Power 5 school. Although, if people have been following Kansas football for a while, they know Kansas is more closely related to an FCS level program than FBS. So you take that with a grain of salt, but you still do not expect them to just walk over Ohio. So you have to come out, start fast, you know you have the talent advantage, and you have to use it.
Okay, gentlemen, so what players are you going to be paying close attention to for UT's offense and defense in the game this Saturday?
Well, Sierra, offensively, it's not about an individual player this week. It's about the entire wide receiver position. Tennessee needs to start reestablishing themselves as wide receiver U, and this is the best opportunity they've had so far this season, and it's a big-time momentum build for Tennessee's wide receiver group. If they can build as much momentum now before they start the SEC slate, especially with Florida coming into Neyland Stadium next week. But some big names to watch out for. Josh Malone may be the biggest star that's fully healthy. He needs a big production day to really build his confidence and his timing with Joshua Dobbs. Also, you don't know how much Preston Williams is going to play. He's been beat up. Could be a good game to rest him. And also, Josh Smith hurt his ankle earlier this week in practice. Don't know if he'll even play at all, or if he does, it may only be a couple of series. So look for the young guys to step up too. Tyler Bird, Osborne, and others got a lot of opportunities coming up this week, and from top to bottom, wide receiver core needs to step up and have a big week and build as much positive momentum as they can. Defensively for Tennessee, it's all about the front four, dealing with injuries once again at the defensive end spot and linebacker. You're going to be without Darren Kirkland Jr., you're going to be without LaTroy Lewis. Kyle Phillips has been dealing with an ankle injury. He's going to be back. He's going to get more reps. How does he look? How does Burnett play with knowing there's going to be a little bit more pressure on him, guys missing? And the front four has got to be disruptive against a very good running game for the Ohio Bobcats, or it's going to look a lot like App State.
And pretty much building off Sam's point, the wide receiver core is going to be the focal point of Tennessee's offense against Ohio. Ohio's secondary is very suspect. They've given up so many big plays in the first two games of the season. I think the first player you have to look for is Josh Malone. He's only had 4 catches this season, but half of those have gone for touchdowns. They've been game-changing touchdowns. I think this is the game. You know, all the games on Tennessee's slate, this is to get one game to open up the passing attack, see what's really made of. I think Josh Malone can have a big game. Sam also mentioned that Josh Smith is going to be out with an ankle injury most likely. I think you put Tyler Bird in that slot position. Let him give a chance to show off why he was such a highly talented recruit. We've already seen a little bit of him at the start of this season. I think against Ohio, like I said, suspect secondary, I think Tyler Bird can have a good chance to play. For defense, I think the one player you have to look for, and I'm sure it's the player on a lot of Tennessee fans' mind, people who are really a player who people are really curious about, is Colton Jumper. It's going to be making that start at the middle linebacker position after Darren Kirkland went out with that high ankle sprain against Virginia Tech. We saw a lot of Colton Jumper, last year, a little bit this year. It hasn't been good. He's missed some tackles, been playing out of position. I think against Ohio, you're playing against the dual threat quarterback, third straight dual threat quarterback. Tennessee's played against this year in Greg Wyndham. I think if I'm Frank Solich, Ohio's head coach, I'm going to test that middle linebacker position, test Colton Jumper. If he can't make plays, it could be a completely different ball game. Ohio can break off some plays just due to that deficiency of middle linebacker. So I think that's the key person of all of Tennessee's defensive personnel to keep an eye on.
Moving on to Ohio's offense and defense, what players will you be looking out for?
Well, to pick up right where Tanner left off, it's all about Greg Windham for Ohio. He's a dual threat quarterback. He needs to make big plays when he keeps the ball in his hands, and he's got to make smart decisions. He's got to the room for error for Ohio is so small in this game, playing a team the caliber of Tennessee, that he has to make the right decision every single time, whether he's handing it off to the running back or he's keeping it himself. And then also he's got to find a way to make big plays in the passing game and not throw it away or make the dumb interception if Tennessee can get the pass rush and the pressure on him. Defensively for the Bobcats, same thing as Tennessee, it's about the front four. How much pressure can they get on Josh Dobbs? Can they get him off his spot in the passing game? Can they rattle him like Virginia Tech did early in the game, like Appalachian State did the entire time? And can they gang tackle Jalen Hurd, or is Jalen Hurd going to start getting some of those big runs along Valvin Kamara that we saw the duo get last week against Virginia Tech?
And same way with Sam again, Greg Windham. That is going to be the leader of that Ohio offense. Like I said, third straight dual threat quarterback Tennessee has faced this year. He had well over 150 yards passing and almost 150 yards rushing against Kansas. He's averaging 7.6 yards per carry as a quarterback. Tennessee had a lot of trouble containing Taylor Lamb for Appalachian State, and in some plays containing Gerard Evans for Virginia Tech. I think this is the game you have to contain Greg Windham, and also you have to contain the running back Poppy Watt, who I think is a first-team all-name selection in college football. I just love that name. I don't know what it is, but he's also a good player too, in addition to having a great name. Starts with those two. Just like it's pretty much similar to Appalachian State, how they had the duo of Taylor Lamb and Marcus Cox, and Ohio runs a similar offense to Appalachian State as well. I think if you can contain Greg Windham, contain Poppy Watt, and that has a lot to do with, like I said, how Colton Jumper is going to play, how the rest of the Tennessee defensive line is going to play. If you don't let them make plays, don't let Greg Windham take off, use his legs, I think you're going to be okay as far as the defense goes. For Ohio's defense, I think it is same way with Sam. I think it's their front seven. I already mentioned how Ohio's secondary is very suspect, how they give up a lot of big plays this year. I think they have to test the Tennessee's offensive line in their first two games, because Tennessee's offensive line has absolutely got them beaten up. And it's, kind of goes hand in hand in Tennessee opening up the passing game. Well, if Ohio is going to get pressure on Josh Dobbs, and that is just going to limit the passing game even more, like we've seen so far this season. So I think it all begins that front seven for Ohio, because if they cannot get to Josh Dobbs, it's going to be a very long day for that entire defense.
Switching gears to high school football, what are your predictions for the Claiborne and Northview Academy game?
Well, this one's kind of an easy decision for me. I was a member of the first ever Pee Wee team for Northview. I was a member of the first ever middle school football team for Northview. Unfortunately, I couldn't be a part of the first anything for Northview High School because there wasn't one around. Now it's Northview Academy. Cougars get to 3-1, 63-45, go Northview.
I'm going to have to disappoint Sam a little bit. I'm sorry to disappoint I know Northview has a special place in your heart, but
very true.
The Claiborne Bulldogs, they had a very gutsy win against Cumberland Gap. I think it's going to be a close game all in all. I've got Claiborne winning 21-20. Sorry, Sam.
Close game. There we go. I'll take it.
Okay, other games this week, FSU and Louisville. What are your predictions?
Look, this is going to be a huge game, major implications for the ACC. Louisville could turn the ACC upside down, completely rewrite the order we thought would happen in the preseason. Florida State can be without one of their best defenders, Derwin James, with an injury. That's going to be hard to slow down an already dynamic Louisville offense. But Florida State gets it done 45-42 on the road in Louisville.
Lamar Jackson, Louisville's quarterback, he's put up absolutely numbers that, if you played the old NCAA football games, you could create a player, make him put up amazing stats. You still wouldn't match what Lamar Jackson has done these first two games of the season. He's put himself firmly in the Heisman race. I think he can have an amazing game against Florida State. And to Sam's point, Derwin James, Florida State's by far their best defensive player. It's probably going to be out for that game. Can Lamar Jackson feast on that Florida State secondary? That remains to be seen. I think it's going to be a shootout. But all in all, even though Louisville does have the home field advantage at the greatly named Papa John's Stadium up there in Kentucky, I think Florida State has the better overall complete team. Even though I think Lamar Jackson is going to still have a great performance, I still think he'll end up in the Heisman ceremony in New York in December. But I think Florida State, just too much of a complete team. I've got them winning 34-31.
All right, how about Alabama, Ole Miss?
Alabama going on the road to Oxford to take on the Rebels. The Rebels have won the last two games in this series. But this is a different Ole Miss team, guys, than what we've seen in the last couple of years. Their offensive line has gotten absolutely destroyed the last 2 games, very similar to Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe no other team in the SEC besides Ole Miss has more questions along the offensive line than Tennessee does right now. Bama's defense is still just as good as ever. Lane Kiffin may get yelled at a couple more times by Nick Saban on the sideline during this game, but I've got Alabama snapping the streak, 38-21, tied over the Rebels.
How bad does Nick Saban want to finally get the Ole Miss monkey off his back, and Hugh Freeze especially? Nick Saban has never lost. He has not lost 3 games in a row to a team since he was the head coach of Michigan State back in 1999. I think this is a game he really wants to win just for his own sake, his own legacy's sake, and just because, like I said, it's a annoying monkey on Alabama's back. I think they're going to do it, even though they are going to be in Oxford. That's not going to make that much of a difference. Chad Kelly's going to have to will his team by himself to beat Alabama. I don't think he has enough in him to defeat the juggernaut that is the Crimson Tide. I think they're going to force him into too many mistakes passing-wise. I got a prediction Chad Kelly throws at least 3 interceptions while Alabama wins 41-24.
Michigan State, Notre Dame.
All right, this is going to be a close game. It was the hardest game I had to pick of this entire set. I really like Sparty. I'm feeling Sparty on the road in South Bend, but I've got to go with Notre Dame 24-21. I think the Irish are going to be just a bit too much, but this is a game where you could see Sparty win, but I'm going Notre Dame.
Yeah, this has always been a historically heated, close rivalry. I don't think it's really going to change that much Saturday. I just think Notre Dame's got too much in. Deshaun Kaiser at quarterback is absolutely performing great this season. One of his best wide receiver targets, and going along with Poppy Watt for the Ohio Bobcats, first team all name. Equanimous St. Brown. I probably butchered his first name. I apologize if you're watching, but I think there's going to be too many weapons for Notre Dame. They're going to edge out Sparty 20-17.
Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Look, this game has all kind of strange on it. Oklahoma letting the Buckeyes rent out their basketball arena for a big pep rally and dinner. That makes no sense to me whatsoever, and I'm not sure this game is going to make sense to me on the field because Oklahoma is a desperate team. They could still win the Big 12 if they lose to the Buckeyes, but to have 2 losses on your resume this early in the season probably eliminates you even with a conference championship from going to the college football playoffs. How's a young, very young Ohio State team going to respond to that on the road in Norman? I've got Ohio State winning 28-27 in a 1-point game.
I think this game has Game of the Year potential. A lot of name recognition in both these teams. It's going to be the marquee matchup of a loaded Week 3. It seems like every time Oklahoma's predicted to do well, they underachieve, and every time they're predicted not to do so well, they overachieve. I think this is one of the years they're underachieving. We saw they had too many problems in their defense against Oklahoma. I think Ohio State's offense is just going to be too explosive. They had JT Barrett. He can make his own Heisman statement with a win at Norman on Saturday. I've got a high-scoring game, but I think Ohio State, JT Barrett, watch out for Curtis Samuel, too. I think they're going to be just too much. Ohio State wins 38-31.
Okay, before we move on to our UT Ohio predictions, who are you guys putting on upset alert this week?
Well, I'm being bold, and I'm going to go for what might be a little bit more of a reach than I wanted to. I'm putting a top 15 team on upset alert. I'm putting the Iowa Hawkeyes on upset alert. They host the 5-time defending national champion North Dakota State Bison, the green and gold, the Bison, having to, of course, replace Connor Wentz, who was one of the top picks in the NFL draft this past season, starting for the Philadelphia Eagles now. But they're still a really good team. I think they're going to go in and beat the Hawkeyes. Bison win 31-21 over the Hawkeyes.
Well, that is bold, Samuel. I'm going to go a little less bolder than that, but it should still be something that would shock a lot of people if it was to occur. The all-familiar Appalachian State Mountaineers, they're hosting the Miami Hurricanes, at Boone, North Carolina. Home game for Appalachian State Saturday. Miami top 25 team. We saw how much of a scare they gave top 10 Tennessee coming in Neyland Stadium. I think it's just going to be too much of a unique, just bizarre atmosphere for the Hurricanes. They have a great quarterback in Brad Cobb. I think he's got first-round potential. Should be a first-round pick. They have one of the best wide receivers in the ACC, Stacy Coley. But we just saw how well coached of the team Appalachian State is, Marcus Satterfield. That guy's going to be at a top 25 program very soon. It's just a feeling I have. I got Appalachian State pulling the upset over the U. Give me 27-24 Mountaineers.
Okay, and finally, what is your prediction for Tennessee, Ohio here at Neyland?
We keep it short and simple. Tennessee wins 45-17 over the Bobcats. Advances to 2-0 all time against Ohio.
My prediction is Tennessee finally gets the idea that they have to start fast. Can't do like they've done the last couple of weeks. They need to show they have the superior talent gap over the Ohio Bobcats. I think Ohio's going to make a few plays in the first half that kind of scare Tennessee fans a little bit, but all in all, this game is going to be done by the second half. Give me Tennessee 48-20 over the Bobcats.
Okay, well, there you have it. That was your Week 3 preview with Rock Solid Sports. As always, I'm here with Tanner Carson, Sam Forman. I'm Sierra Galanza, and thanks for watching.